just like, forget it.
That was honestly like I've never had people talk about me that way.
Really?
In my entire career. Yeah. In that like level.
Really?
Yeah.
I had this other thought. Because I started clicking on profiles.
Yeah.
Like, hey, some of you aren't real.
Are you a burner?
Does Drake just have an army of bots?
Oh, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I know it. And so that became my thought was, all right.
They have like go-tos.
This person says something mean. Let's click on that and see if this is a real person with 5 followers and never posted any single pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't know if you're real or not. What was the song?
I don't have one.
You don't have one?
Hold on. We'll just do it in real time.
Okay.
I'll turn my volume down so we don't get taken off. Today's song is Chubby Checker, Let's Twist Again.
Let's
like
Twist
we
Again?
Did last summer.
So you have Let's Twist and you have Let's Twist Again?
Well, I think it's the first is Come On Baby, Let's Do the Twist.
Why do you have that song?
Because I sang it in Disneyland in 2004.
Is it 2004?
Come on,
Are you in Disneyland?
Let's do the twist. Take me by my little hand. Oh, and don't like this.
I wish you guys could see her on camera.
Just
She is really into this. Why do you have Let's Twist Again? You performed Let's Twist at Disneyland.
Well, I obviously had a positive response to the twist decided to twist again. Okay, the twist came out in 1958. Let's see when Let's Twist Again.
It had to be
How many years were between?
1959.
No, 61.
61.
We went 3 whole years before Chubby gave another twist. The original remix.
Yeah. Because that's all Let's Twist Again is.
Yeah.
Wow. But again, why do you have Let's Twist Again on there? You explain why you have Let's Twist.
Because we're twisting again, like we did last summer. Do you
I
remember?
I think that's a
when things were really humming? Yeah, let's twist again. What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, February 25th. It is going to be a good day. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass. Coming up on today's show, it is a Grizzlies game day. Big home stretch begins for the Grizz tonight against the Suns. Mike Wallace is going to join us. We will talk all things Grizzlies. We'll go around the NBA. Crazy night in the association. Timberwolves came back down 25 to beat the Thunder. Another big moment for Nikola Jokic. The Pistons just keep winning. We'll get into all of that. Will Coleman, former Memphis Tiger, joins us on Tuesday to talk Tigers. We'll get his thoughts on their win over FAU over the weekend, go around the college basketball world, and then we'll do a little TV Tuesday. What we're watching, I watched that entire Gabby Petito documentary on Netflix. It was a wild ride. We'll get into it. You know what we say. Let's twist again, like we did last summer.
By King. Wheels through the lane, now spins back. Ja hangs, puts it in! Oh, what a shot by Morant in the clutch! So hot. Oh, Jared said no! Because he doesn't put on a play, comes up with a monster block.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Morant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Bain drives.
Oh yeah.
Close. He hits and the Grizzlies have the lead.
Yeah!
Jarrett with a knockaway.
Good defense.
Morant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
45-minute video on Tony Allen on YouTube.
I just saw it yesterday.
He managed to dominate the NBA for 14 years, despite missing one of basketball's most important skills. But here's the crazy thing.
Why does that hurt your feelings?
It didn't hurt my feelings.
It's positive.
He police. He at least should have more of my highlights.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling, having my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media Studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Grizzlies Game Day. Grizzlies return home tonight. Before we get into that, your fun fact of the morning, courtesy of CJ, making me go into the deep dive of whatever happened to Chubby Checker. He died of old age in his 80s. Happy to see it. But Chubby Checker's daughter played in the WNBA. Her name was Misty Bass. She played at Duke. She played with the Comets. She played with the Sky. She played with the Sun. She won a championship with the Phoenix Mercury. It all sports, baby.
Shout out to her doing the twist in the W.
Misty.
Like after she hit a bucket, you think she twisted?
Absolutely. Didn't he do other dances too?
I think he
Wasn't
had.
he
I think he had
responsible for a
one
handful?
more. I think he had like one more that we kind of acknowledge. It's like Cupid.
He
like
did that. He's the
Cupid.
pony. He started the pony. Yes. Shout out
What do you
Genuine.
mean?
Shout out Chubby.
What do you mean he started the pony?
I mean, the pony dance style is credited to Chubby
Okay,
Checker
what
with the
is
song
the-
Pony Time.
What is the pony dance style? I've
It's
never
gonna
done
take
the
too much
pony.
research.
I've never cranked the pony.
I
I've
think
never
it's
been
like
in the club and anybody been like, oh, so this thing?
I think so.
That's the pony?
Yeah.
I think of that as
I
more as
love-
a cowboy.
That
Okay.
is more the cowboy. How are you, the pony? Are you down as a pony?
Down on your knees and just
Nope.
popping it.
Nope. Anyway, there's your music history. We're coming up on having to delete a song,
Oh,
and
I
we'll be
can't wait.
figuring out what that one is
Be
going
here
to
Friday.
be. I woke up this
7:58.
morning unclear of how to approach this day. We haven't had a home game day in like 82 years. That's what it feels like. We have not had a home game since February 8th, which was the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The last home win came on February 3rd against the San Antonio Spurs. The Grizzlies host the Suns tonight, and it should be a perfect bounce-back opportunity. I was starting my pregame prep this morning and was watching a Suns recap video. They lost to the Raptors over the weekend. The Raptors, one of those teams not trying to win games right now. And the first comment I saw was from a Suns fan saying, "We're old, we're slow, we have no defense, we have no identity, all we have is locker room problems. This team is just bad." So they're doing great. They're in a good place. Another comment was, the Toronto freaking Raptors do not want to win this game. And as a fan of the Raptors, I am pissed that your mediocre Suns are so pathetic they could not even beat us to help with the tank. So you have Raptors fans mad at the Suns for even having the audacity to win a game over the weekend. It should provide a good opportunity for the Grizzlies to come off of the loss to the Cavs over the weekend. They have lost 3 of their last 4 games if you go back to predating the All-Star break with that loss to the Clippers. And it sets up a 5-game homestand for the Grizzlies. That's very important because the teams are climbing up in the standings. The biggest game of tonight is not Grizzlies Suns, although it's the biggest game in our hearts. It is, of course, Luka Doncic's first game against the Dallas Mavericks, his old team. Mavericks coming to Los Angeles to face the Lakers this evening. So all eyes will be on that. But the NBA truly heating up. We'll talk all things Grizzlies with Mike Wallace when he joins us. Did you catch any of the NBA action last night, CJ?
I didn't know NBA action was on TV. I caught Houston.
League pass.
No.
I know.
No, I caught Houston, Texas Tech, and Michigan. Before that game, I caught Michigan, Nebraska, and what was it was ugly.
Not good.
49-46, Jessica. 49-46, final.
Okay.
Final. Nebraska had to do
a slugfest.
Bryce Wesley, I think this kid's name is. 26 points. Like 26 of their 46 points came for one dude. At one point, when the half ended, he had, I want to say he had 19 of their 23. He was cooking. He was balling. The rest of them Cornhuskers were bad. Yeah, Michigan last three games. And then I'll let you crack your joke because it's
no, I don't have a joke.
I have to laugh to keep from crying. Don't make me sick. I threw up last night watching that game a little bit. Michigan the last 3 games is under 25% from 3. I think they're 7 for 69 or something like that from 3. It's atrocious. It's terrible. What did you have, Jessica?
I killed Chubby.
Remember
how
alive?
I was telling you I couldn't find out how he died?
Because he didn't die.
He hasn't died.
Okay.
He's 83 and kicking it.
You said 83.
I thought he was dead.
And you killed Chubby off way too soon.
That's
he was
my
kicking
apologies.
it also. I love when we kick it.
It's my apologies.
Yeah, please don't kill the great Chubby Checker off.
From Spring Goalie, South Carolina. That is my bad. I am sorry you watched a pukey game last night. I watched the end of the Timberwolves Thunder game, which did not appear that it was going to be a good game at all until the Timberwolves came back down 25 points.
I was following along on the score ticker. So like, exactly what I would expect to happen to this Minnesota team. They're getting the hell beat out of them by the Thunder. Good on the Thunder. And then look up and it's like, holy hell, how'd they win that?
Why is it in overtime? Well, it's also bizarre because this was the 3rd time in 4 games that the Timberwolves and the Thunder have played each other, which, yes, we've gotten to the point where you have the back-to-back series. Usually they're in the same city, which was not the case this time around. But if you go back to the Thunder and Timberwolves last game before All-Star break, they played each other. And then they played each other on Sunday in Minnesota. That game did not end until like 11:30 Central Time because it got pushed back after the Grizzlies-Cavs game ran long on ESPN. So they get on a plane, fly to Oklahoma City, where they landed close to 3 a.m., turned around, played last night's game 22 hours after the previous night's game had tipped off. So not even a full 24-hour day between Timberwolves Thunder on Sunday, Timberwolves Thunder on Monday, and the Thunder were just running away with it. Timberwolves down 25 in the 3rd, down 24 in the 4th. They were down 16 with 3:40 to play in this game, down 16 with less than 4 minutes left in the game, and they came back. Prior to last night, when teams were down 24 or more in the 4th quarter, those teams had lost the previous 1,152 games. But last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves came back and beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what was wild to watch in real time was the comeback mostly came with Anthony Edwards on the bench. Like, Anthony Edwards gets credited for the big block on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to end the game, and it was a great block, and Anthony Edwards, playing on a bit of a bum calf, had to rest quite a bit, but he gets the game-sealing block, comes up with the massive play. Naz Reid wasn't having a great game. It was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It was Jaden McDaniels. It was the young guys like Rob Dillingham, who was impressive as hell. Rob Dillingham, his defense last night was awesome. And I know Rob Dillingham was drafted essentially to one day replace Mike Conley, and like his locker is right next to Mike Conley, and that's his future ascension. But what he does on the defensive end, giving the Timberwolves another just like pesky, wild defender, is huge. Jalen Clark had that presence last night for the Wolves. who's the other rookie? Terrence Shannon, after his jersey went up upside down, he had one of his better games of his rookie season. It just struck me how we've kind of looked at the Timberwolves of especially after the Rudy trade, and they lost all those picks. I was like, well, they're going to really struggle with youth coming up in the next however many years, and now it's 2025, and I looked at the roster that was coming back against the number one team in the West last night, and they're all really young, and they're all really promising. You never know. It's the middle of a rookie season for Dillingham and for Terrence Shannon. But in terms of promise, like it's right up there. And I give the Timberwolves full credit. It's hard to come back down 25 against the number one team in the NBA because usually the comeback, you can come back and get close, but you just run out of gas at the end. But they were able to put it down, get a big win, and it was entertaining.
Yeah, I hate I missed it.
It's tough.
While this comeback is a fun little story on a random Monday in February, I don't think it says anything about anybody at all. Like 7-game series.
I look at games like that, and I do think when you get to the postseason, especially for those younger players, like those are confidence boost points. I'm not saying they win a series.
You want to be confident
in
the playoffs.
But they feel better after a game like that versus never having. Plus, this Timberwolves team, I got real down into the Timberwolves season catch-up yesterday. They have 6 comebacks this season of 15 or more points.
That's big.
They haven't been good in the clutch for the most part. And we saw that when the Grizzlies had those 2 games and those big moments from Ja down the stretch where the Grizzlies, I think, had back-to-back clutch wins in Minnesota. But I was intrigued.
Like, you want the opposite of being confident going into the playoffs or going into a playoff series, being unconfident. So given the two, you want to be confident. I'd much rather you be good and experienced. And they aren't that. There's severe flaws in what they've got going on. With the exception of Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards, who is going to be able to create something either for themselves or for somebody else?
I think
on
Dillingham
that team.
eventually.
Eventually. Mm-hmm. We're not saying that this year though, correct? All right, like I don't think we're saying, okay, it's third quarter and a team is going on a 8-2 run. We got Anthony Edwards on the bench. Hey, Dillingham, go out there and create for yourself or for somebody else and get an easy, guaranteed good look at it. Yeah. No, we're not saying that about them. Maybe down the line we will. Maybe. There's promise here, like you said. But right now, no. And it's fine to have all of the intangibles. Mm-hmm. You need the intangibles. But the tangibles is what you got to have. You got to be good. You got to be able to score. You got to be able to rebound, defend, take care of the basketball. That's what you've got to be able to do. And then when you face another team who's able to do those things as well, then we can talk about the intangibles. That's when the intangibles come into play. But if you can't do those things,
without Karl Anthony Towns, it felt like, why would you get rid of such a central piece that led to a trip to the Western Conference Finals? Like, just to make such a drastic move right after that, really felt that they would just fall off. Not altogether. You still have Ant and you still have Rudy and all the pieces around.
You're making it seem like they haven't fallen off.
I'm not ready to say that they've totally fallen off.
What were they last year? Were they not the 2 seed, 3 seed?
So, okay.
And aren't they the 7 seed, 8 seed?
At this point in time.
All right. So that's a fall off to me.
They're tied 7-6, and that group is 4 games back from the Rockets and the Lakers group. And then the Rockets and the Lakers are 2 games back from the Grizzlies.
You said they're tied 7-6.
Like the Clippers have the edge because the Clippers are 31-26, Timberwolves are 32-27. So
they could be a 6. They could be a 6 seed. Okay.
And there's still, I don't know if you know this, it's February 25th. There's movement opportunities for some of these teams.
I just don't believe that's a team that's going to move. I don't have any faith in them.
It's more a question of what a team in front of them
drop.
Clippers lost last night. Well, that's because the Pistons can't lose a game. Because the Pistons have won 7 straight, and Cade Cunningham is freaking awesome. Shout out JB Bickerstaff.
Yeah.
I love seeing that for him. This was the first 7-game winning streak for the Pistons in a decade.
Oh, my God.
They have not won 7 straight games in a decade. And they are now 1 game back from the 4 seed and home court advantage in this year's playoffs, if the season were to end today. Cade Cunningham, he's sizzling. His word, not mine. That's what he said after the game last night. 32 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. If you look at his stat line over the last 10 games, the consistency from Cade Cunningham has been awesome. Like, I was listening to the Vernon Show crew talking about him yesterday from a standpoint of, like, that's what you want from Ja right now. Just annihilating teams, just night after night after night, putting up the biggest stats, being the superstar. I've seen a lot of discourse on, well, if Cade Cunningham played for the Lakers, we'd be talking about him like he's top 10 player in the league right now. He was an all-star this year, and I do think as the Pistons continue to grow, let's not forget, the Pistons now this season have more wins at 31 this year than they had in the 2 seasons combined. So this is finally coming together. When things start to come together, that's when spotlights start to grow on players. So I do think we'll be talking about Cade Cunningham in that territory. Jokic had 19 assists last night for the Nuggets. Nuggets moved back in front of the Grizzlies in the Western Conference standings. A career high 19 assists for Nikola Jokic. Send him to the Combine. Maybe make him the quarterback that goes to the Tennessee Titans to help train up whatever young quarterback they have instead of Aaron Rodgers.
He's just throwing chest passes?
Just everything.
Just over the head passes, two-hand, chest pass? Ugh.
I think he can do it.
Can he throw? He can't throw.
I think he can do the sling.
I don't think he can.
I think he can.
I don't think he can throw a football.
You want to know what? I don't think usually the best post player in the league should also be one of the best passers in the league. But guess what? We got it in Nikola Jokic. So I'm not going to say what he can and cannot do, because every time you do that with him, it feels as if he just defies gravity and expectations and physics and what players are supposed to be in this little world. Sixers are dead. They lost to the Bulls 142-110. That's another team that's not trying to win games right now in the Chicago Bulls. We did find out over the weekend things could be very bleak for Joel Embiid. Still no official news on that front, but the thought that his career could be close to over, which is just so sad to watch.
We know this.
I know.
We knew it like
last year
during the Olympics. Like, oh, he can't move. Maybe rest will help. And nope, it hasn't.
He's bad.
He can't move.
Last thing I saw last night around the NBA, just because we mentioned it yesterday, is Marcus Smart playing for the Washington Wizards since being traded there. Yes, he is, and the Wizards beat the Nets, and Marcus Smart took a charge and looked like Marcus Smart. That's what he said after the game. Took a charge, big defensive effort. Saw our good old friend Megan McPeak doing the walk-off interview with Marcus Smart last night, and the whole sentiment was that he still has a lot of pride in what he has to offer. I will always be rooting for Marcus Smart. I hate that it didn't work out here in Memphis. I hate that what was thought to be the missing link for this team in moving on from Dillon Brooks and having another former Defensive Player of the Year added to the mix to play alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. And ultimately it just didn't happen, and he couldn't stay on the court, and it became the time to move on. But to see Marcus Smart still have something to give, it would be painful. I don't think you're going to have to risk seeing him make a postseason run with the Washington Wizards this year, and by risking, I mean that's literally not possible. Like, the Wizards are 10-47 and nowhere near the postseason. But perhaps the young Wizards can learn something from the likes of Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton along the way. All right, we got to get to Mike Wallace. We'll catch up with him about all things NBA and the Memphis Grizzlies, who start a 5-game homestand tonight against the Phoenix Suns. It has been a minute. It has been since early February. Please get your tickets. Come out tonight and watch the Memphis Grizzlies here at FedEx Forum. They have one of the best home records, third best home record in the NBA this season, 21-6 on the home court. You are so much more likely to see a Grizzlies win at home than you are a loss, and that is a fun place to be. You can come see the Grizzlies take on the likes of Kevin Durant and the Suns, 7 o'clock tonight. Be there, be square. We'll catch up with Mike Wallace about the Grizzlies after a quick break.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
This team is doing everything that Taylor Jenkins and his coaching staff envisioned it could do.
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Norris one-handed on the
If you go to a hustle game, you're going to see a very fast-paced game. A lot of action, both offensively, defensively.
Nice rejection right there.
In a great environment at the Landers Center. You could bring family there, kids are running around.
Down the lane and one for Zion Poland.
And then you're going to see a lot of talented basketball players competing at a high level.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Are you aware of the story of Larry Brown and John Calipari coming to see you at an AAU tournament?
I knew Coach Calipari was in the crowd. I had this incredible game. I had maybe 17 dunks in the first half or something. One of my guys was like, "Yeah, I think Coach Calipari was speaking with one of the NBA scouts, and they're saying, yeah, you're not going to go to college, bro. You're going straight to the league." I was like, "That's the plan, but if I don't, I'll definitely want to go to Memphis," and that's how I went down.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Welcome back. It is Tuesday. That means it's time to catch up with Mike Wallace, senior editor at Grind City Media. Mike, how's it going this morning?
It's going well. It's going well, Jessica. And I got to give you a quick, I reminded someone that I would reach out and tell you about this. It was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he was in Indiana when the Grizzlies were playing at the Pacers. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I love the Jessica Benson show." He introduced himself to me and he said, "Hey, I go back with Jessica's husband. Chris and I were at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at Syracuse together." So it was some member of the Indiana media that covers, I guess he was in the TV realm or something like that. And he went to school with Chris. So he told me to tell you what's up.
Did he say he had met me?
Probably so. I don't know.
Now I'm trying to figure out. I don't know the answer to this riddle. I'm going to have to go to Chris. But
yes, but he loves the show, and he knows you through Chris because he went to school with Chris.
My only brain connection from Indianapolis or from Indiana is one of Chris's former classmates worked, and I know he reported on IndyCar, which would place him in that city.
Yep.
And when I first was getting back together with Chris, it was the 2013 Final Four in Atlanta, and Syracuse had inexplicably made it to the Final Four, and I had not seen Christopher Luther in like 7 months. We had moved on. I was never going to see him again. He was at Syracuse, I was at USC, whatever, and I was going to the Final Four with my parents, and Chris went with a group of friends down to that Final Four, and he was staying with that kid at the time, now young man, I guess, and another couple of guys from Syracuse. And ultimately, Chris ditched those guys on the way back and stayed with me and my family in Atlanta for the championship game after Syracuse was eliminated in the semifinals by Michigan, if I remember correctly. And so that would be it. So that would be Chris Wilner. But I don't know if it was Chris Wilner, but that's the only one I can think of.
So the moral of the story is, C. Luther took an L on the court, but he took a W in life, though. So
That's
he
it.
got back. right? That's what it was.
Yeah. Next thing you know, he
We
was
lost the game, but we
playing.
gained. I got you.
He was
Where
almost
the
almost
hell
tearing
is
my
the
dad's
win at?
Achilles. It's right here. It's right.
I guarantee.
Hey, the win. No, the win was
guarantee.
that Chris got to go to the championship game and sit like center court and
Okay,
have a
that's the
great
win.
time. There's
That's
your
the
win.
win.
It wasn't
That's
me.
the win.
It was the
All right,
tickets.
there we go.
He's just been in it for the tickets, and when those dried up, I don't know why he's still hanging around. But
Yeah,
Mike.
He needed a meal and a place to stay.
Exactly. That's all. And a meal at the Hard Rock Cafe Atlanta and a seat to the championship game. We have seats at the Memphis Grizzlies game tonight. It has been 1,000 million years since we last had a home game for the Grizzlies. And obviously, this is a very big 5-game home stretch for the Grizzlies. But before we jump there, I did want to get your take. You were on this most recent road trip. And obviously, the loss to the Cavs on Sunday was one of those games where you just weren't quite sure how to feel coming out of it, because by no means was it a devastating loss. You took an L to the best team with the best record in the NBA right now. You competed, you lose by 6, had a chance there at the end, couldn't get shots to fall, missed a couple free throws. But you also have to fight against the elephant of the season in that the Grizzlies have not beaten a team in the top 3 of their conference since December at this point. So where did you evaluate where that all fell and how the team came out of the loss coming out of Cleveland?
I fully expected, when we went to the post-game Taylor Jenkins press conference, I fully expected, Taylor to just rail against the fact that, you gave up all of these second chance opportunities, 22 offensive rebounds, 31 second chance points. And, I thought he was going to be short. I thought he was, how Taylor can get when after losses, frustrating losses.
Yeah.
He's a very verbose guy, but then he really, really cuts his sound bites way short when he's frustrated to be one of those type of things. And it was the exact opposite. You know what I mean? He acknowledged the offensive rebounding as a struggle, but he compartmentalized it and said it was mainly hurting us in the first half. We made some adjustments and we gave ourselves a chance to win. And you come out of this game feeling, like, hey, we're right there with these type of teams, and you have to feel that way. And he talked about how the road trip incrementally got better, even though it was a 1-2 road trip. I mean, you basically, he was more frustrated after Indiana loss than he was after the Cleveland loss, and rightfully so when you put it in perspective. This team still has another hurdle to go, man. We all see what they're capable of, and we want them to get through and break through against these elite teams, and they still haven't done that on a consistent basis yet. But they're still right in that area where, it's 1 or 2 tweaks, and then you want to take your chances and another shot at it again. And that's what they're looking at going into this 5-game homestand.
We've talked a lot on the show in the last week about the Phil Jackson contender theory, which started to circulate on social media again, where teams who reach 40 teams before 20 losses are the true contenders, and 37 of the last 41 NBA champions have fit into that box. Only 3 teams will be able to claim it this year, with it being the Cavs, the Thunder, and the Celtics, and then just missing it were the Grizzlies, Nuggets, and the Knicks. Now, it's not like it's never happened. 4 teams have won without reaching 40-20 since 1980. I'm curious at this point, as we enter this, end of February going into March stretch, can you still make a case for the Grizzlies being what would be just the 5th team to contend for but to win an NBA title? What gives you the confidence that they are still among the teams with the ability? Obviously, there's been a separation between those top 3 and then the 3 who just barely missed it. But where do you find the confidence in the Grizzlies here to still level up a different edition this end part of the regular season?
That they have the continuity of one another. They know what they are. They know what they expect from one another. You have Ja, Jaren, and Dez. And even though that group has only played, I think, 26 or 27 games together so far this season, this is year 6 of that, year 5, year 6 of that group. And I don't know any other group of primary contenders that have had their teams together that are this young and still, have that level of continuity. So we still see the upside of what they can do. Now, I will say this. There's a path there only because everyone else that people are saying should get there, Cleveland and Oklahoma City, those teams have never gotten there before. So how are they going to fare once it gets deep into the playoffs? Can they take that extra step? We know Boston can do it, but are we really certain that any other team is definitely capable of getting that breakthrough? Maybe because we haven't seen it before. So, these teams are dominant. Those 3 teams you mentioned are the dominant teams in the NBA right now. And I would say watch out for the Lakers, because what they're doing is not just smoke and mirrors anymore. Like, they're really starting to come together. And they could be a team that would surprise you if they end up in the Western Conference Finals with that group and one step away. It wouldn't surprise me.
It would not be another week in the post-trade deadline NBA without me saying, how did the Mavs let the Lakers get Luka Doncic?
Yeah.
Watching him over the weekend, you're like, there it is. And tonight's game should be tantalizing between the Lakers and the Mavs and all of the drama there. For the Grizzlies, they play the Suns, who are just in bad shape. Like, just not good times happening in Phoenix. It does present a nice opportunity for the Grizzlies to start this home stretch. You certainly can't overlook the Suns, but we saw the last go around. They were trying to figure out a way to stop Jaren Jackson Jr. They started Bol. I blame the Grizzlies-Suns game for all of the Shaq Bol references that occurred over All-Star Weekend, because I swear he was just, like, his brain glitched into Bol mode. Because even during the game, because that was on TNT, that was like the biggest storyline of the halftime show and the post-game show. But ultimately, the Grizzlies were able to really just out-depth the Suns team that doesn't have much of a bench. How does this matchup in particular present such a promising start for this home stretch for the Grizzlies?
Jessica, CJ, I mean, the Suns have been depressing to watch. It really has. I mean, you see all of these milestones and all of these things that Kevin Durant is accomplishing. He had a chance to play an NBA game back at the University of Texas. He just passed the 30,000-point mark against the Grizzlies in that game, the last time those two teams played in Phoenix. And they just keep losing, right? You keep looking at, they couldn't trade Bradley Beal because of, the noose of his contract being, a no-trade clause. And then Kevin Durant got offended because his name started circulating, and it didn't sit right with him. And it's all a disservice to Bradley Beal, not Bradley Beal, but Devin Booker, because he's been here all the way through all of these changes, and they just can't get over the hump. This team was in the NBA Finals a handful of seasons ago, right, around Devin Booker in a different sort of way. But look, the Grizzlies have the Suns' number right now. I'm not going to say that that definitely guarantees that they're going to win, but you got to feel good about the Grizzlies playing at home. They got the third best home record in the NBA. They've done some of their best work at home, and they usually use these type of homestands to really make a statement and pull away. I think they have a chance because Denver's gone on the road recently. They did get a big time win at Indiana. You have a chance to get some separation in that number 2 spot. And if you can do that with this homestand, it's not going to be easy. You got the Suns who could be dangerous. You got the Knicks on Friday, a team that beat you by 30, 40 points. And then you got San Antonio on the second night of a back-to-back, and who knows what kind of effort San Antonio is going to show up with. So it starts off pretty tough, and it's got to be an attention to detail type homestand for the Grizzlies for sure.
No, we're talking Grizzlies, but you brought up something, Mike, that I personally, from a roster construction and a GMing type thing, find super interesting. It is the fact that the Suns were in the NBA Finals. They were really, really good, 3 years ago? And nobody but Booker is left.
Yep.
The Suns are the cautionary tale that I would show all of these NBA franchises. Hey, look, sure, these big name free agents become available. Sure, you want a piece of that big three action. Sure, you might be willing to buy your way to a championship. But, if it doesn't work, it's going to go bad. And oftentimes it doesn't. And the Suns are the latest example of that attempt to try and bring in a bunch of superstars and nobody else. Just give me 3 or 4 superstars and let's see what we can do. And it's just not worked for them. They would be much better off. Much better off. They had kept Chris Paul under a reasonable deal. They had kept DeAndre Ayton. If they had kept those core players around, they'd be in a much better position than they are right now. Which is just what they're doing right now is just, hey, Kevin Durant, hit some of these career milestones in Suns jerseys for us so we can continue to sell tickets. That's all they are right now.
Yeah, that's a great point, CJ. And the 2 names that you just mentioned weren't even the 2 names that I thought of in terms of why they should have, if you look back and you have revisionist history. I mean, Ayton and Chris Paul, just think about where they would be if they would have kept Mikal Bridges. And Johnson, right? If they would have kept those 2 guys, right now. And you could say, what if those guys were younger? That team was still trying to figure out what it was. But you put those 2 guys back around, the Devin Booker now, and you give that 3 a chance to grow and go through some seasons with some additions on the margins that could definitely be better. They went all in on superstars, and they don't have any depth. Back then, they had depth and not necessarily a frontline superstar. So you could do it the other way. I think that team would have been better off had they stayed put and kept those guys, Mikal Bridges there alongside Cam Johnson, and just saw where they were, because that's what the Grizzlies did. They didn't panic.
Yeah.
They allowed Jaren, Dez, and Ja to kind of come together and go through the last 3 or 4 years, whereas Phoenix had that young, exciting group, and then they broke it up because they wanted to go ring chasing. Now they're the most expensive disaster that you have in the NBA when it comes to salary cap and flexibility and the ability to actually win a championship.
Yeah, you never want to be known as the most expensive disaster. That's just not a fun category. I think that's what my dad used to call me in high school. God, this is my most expensive disaster.
My parents still call me that.
He's like, come on. It's interesting just from a roster construction standpoint and history of the NBA. Mike, are you familiar with the book Boomtown?
I am.
Have you read it? Okay, so I just started it last night, so but for people who don't know, it's the fantastical saga of Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City essentially existing as, I think the thesis is like the most interesting small big town in America, and even in the list of other towns or cities that could be in that mix. Early on in the book, he says, like, no disrespect to cities like San Antonio or Memphis or the Portlands or Charlotte or Chattanooga, but just all of the interesting things that have happened in Oklahoma City. And the book structures around the year 2012, which is when James Harden ultimately can't come to a deal, doesn't get paid what he wants in Oklahoma, and then moves on to Houston, and just how that symbolized, and obviously the Thunder right now being in a position to contend in the West yet again, but you look at that team with KD and Russell Westbrook, and at the time James Harden, it's just so interesting how like one thing happens and it sets off a catalyst for everything else in the NBA. And like we're looking at James Harden going from the Rockets to the big three in Brooklyn for the period of time, and now with the Clippers. And you talk about another big three that just didn't work out, and the Nets kind of left in limbo land. It makes me very grateful for the solidification of this Grizzlies core group, right? Like sometimes you just look at the chaos that's cycled around the league and have to think, like, this is a cool place to be in at this moment.
And the Warriors didn't do this. I'm sorry, Mike,
Yeah.
but the Warriors had the opportunity, and people were begging them, yo, you've got to move Klay Thompson.
Yes.
You have to, because you're not big enough. Go out there and make a play for Kevin Love or another big. And the Warriors, sometimes the best move you can make as a general manager, sometimes, is to stay put and believe in the guys that you have around. And the Warriors stayed put with Klay, Steph, Dre, Harrison Barnes, Iguodala. They stayed put with those guys. Said, all right, let's see what we can do here. And they ended up being rewarded for it. So sometimes you don't have to make a move. Sometimes the best move you can make is to continue to grow and develop the talent that you already have on roster.
Yeah.
Now, having said all of that, the time is now, though, for the Grizzlies.
Right.
Because those teams didn't take 5, 6, 7. Like, even the teams that were patient had a breakthrough eventually, right? Had a breakthrough right around year 4 of their group being together, somewhere around there. The Grizzlies are now in year 4, 5 when you talk about the Dez aspect of it. Came first, the next year came Ja, the next year after that came Dez, and pretty much from 2020 to now, that group has been together. And they've been twice second in the Western Conference. This is the third time they're second in the West. It's the third time the charm. Like, that's why I say, even though they're still young, they're going to get very, very, very expensive, potentially as soon as the season after next, when Jaren's extension kicks in. So at that point, then you start having less ability to tinker around the margins, and you become locked in with the guys that you have. And by the time Jaren's contract kicks in, you got to repay Ja if he's going to still be here and you're still going to build around him. So it gets really, really expensive. And what you don't want is to be the most expensive second round team in the NBA, right? If you're going to pay that money, you got to at least have a conference finals or NBA finals to show for your wear and tear and your expenses at that point.
At least for now, that big three, you know what you've got with that. But rotation-wise, I did think coming out of the weekend, some interesting minutes trends. Obviously, Santi Aldama and Luke Kennard, both with big minutes coming off the bench. Then it's Brandon Clark and Vince Williams. And then when Vince was out against the Magic, Gigi Jackson swung into that spot. And he was huge in that Magic game. His three-point shooting, I think he made 3 threes in a row, got him right back into it. But then he only plays 4 minutes against the Cavs on Sunday. So how do you track the great Grizzlies rotation mystery of the end of this season as we continue trying to see how Taylor Jenkins is going to ultimately tighten this thing down?
Well, and you also got to figure like Vince Williams Jr. didn't necessarily have his imprint on the Cleveland game as much as he did in some of the other games too. So, you went from not even playing Scottie Pippen at the beginning. Like those 3 games on that trip, you had 3 different rotation approaches, completely 3 different ones. And if you're trying to track it and you're trying to predict what Taylor Jenkins is going to do, it's impossible. What you do know is that Jaren, Ja, and Dez are going to get their minutes. He's going to continue to stay with this starting lineup with Zach Edey and Jalen Wells, but they may not even be a factor in the fourth quarter. The trust is there in Luke Kennard. He's probably the 4th most essential guy. Luke and Santi will be that, the 4th and 5th main guys in the rotation from that standpoint. And then Brandon. So that's Luke, Brandon, Santi. So that gets you to 6 after the big 3. That's the next 3. And then it's going to be situational. Some nights it's going to be Vince Williams Jr. when he's feeling well. Right now, they're not playing him on the back-to-back, second night of a back-to-back. So that's still an issue there. Scotty pretty much is the odd man out. He's more of the break glass in case of emergency. And then Gigi is the next to the last odd man out. And he's more. You're starting to see the minutes kind of align the way that he wants. And Taylor did admit, the main guys are going to start. You're going to see an uptick in terms of how many minutes they're going to be playing going down the stretch. You only got 24 games left, 25 games, and we'll see if that holds.
Okay, 2 quick things. One, let's just add one more player into the equation. I saw you had the chance to sit down with Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
Do you see him cracking into this rotation, or at least getting a chance? We saw a couple spot minutes at the end of that game Friday.
I think if the rebounding
game?
issues continue and you get into a night where you want to throw a changeup out there just to send a message and to see what he can do, yes. But I don't think schematically he's going to be schemed into the mix right now. It's just too many guys he has to get in front of with too little time.
Okay, and then finally, Adrian Wojnarowski is auctioning off his old iPhones, NBA draft credentials, and a dinner with him to raise money for St. Bonaventure's NIL fund. What do you think the going rate for one of Woj's old phones is, Mike?
Ooh, man, that's creative. That's interesting. You have to be a NBA Twitter junkie nerd to value that. You know what I mean? But hopefully, because he's doing it for a good cause, I hope it raises $100,000, $200,000. I hope it does. Yeah.
The phone right now, because it is an auction, it's open for 7 more days. So these are just the first bids that we've seen. The phone used to break the Paul George Kawhi to the Clippers news is up to $1,500. The phone used to break NBA suspending its season for COVID is also up to $1,500. But the highest price tag so far is $2,000 for his ESPN badge that says Walt Disney Company, ESPN, Adrian Wojnarowski. So he's got a little bit of ways to go before we crack the 200 grand mode.
That's not going to buy you much in NIL right now. You know what I'm saying? So,
I know. But if we want a Woj phone for GCM, we could get it for $1,600 right now. I don't know what we do with it.
So here's the thing. Does the phone still have the contacts in it? Because if it has the contacts, that's where the value is.
That's a reporter right there.
If it's been erased, it's useless. It's just something that somebody else held. But if it has the contacts in there, oh yeah, that could be valuable. Then you're talking 6 figures.
Contacts, and is he still logged into the Twitter? Because he's still logged into the Twitter on the phone.
No.
We could have some fun with Woj.
If you get access, if you get to become Woj, you get to redo. It stays as the Woj account, but now you just get to make it whatever you want.
Oh my God.
That's a different story. That'd be a fun time.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. We'll see you tonight at the game.
Or a tweet or 2, right?
Yeah, or 3 or 4, whatever, you know. All right, we'll see you tonight. Warm-up show on Grind City Media, 6 o'clock. And then Grizzlies Suns at 7. See you later, Mike.
All right, see you guys in a minute.
Bye. That was Mike Wallace. You can find his latest up at Grind City Media.
You have to keep breaking stories.
Yeah.
But not just break random stories.
Just dumb stories.
Yeah, break dumb stories. Like to keep the legacy of the Woj bomb.
You should turn it back into original Facebook statuses. Like, I just made myself a piece of toast for breakfast. LOL.
Okay, those types
Breaking news.
I was thinking more like
I'm going to the grocery store.
More like restaurant openings.
That's too legitimate.
Okay, but like it's Woj's phone.
That's too legit. You would just be a troll.
Breaking news. Just sat on the toilet.
That's what I first thought of, but I wasn't going to say it because girls don't sit on the toilet.
Y'all squat.
No, we don't. I don't know if you don't know this about us, but we don't do that. That's a boy thing. That's gross.
Using the bathroom, excreting waste is gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have this magical fairy dust that just kind of like.
So you guys fart
gone.
fairy dust? I got you.
Yeah. Ask my husband. It's definitely what we're doing. All right, we got to take a quick break. Will Coleman is going to join us when we come back. We'll talk to him about the Memphis Tigers' win over FAU, where they sit in this week's AP poll, and a look around the college basketball landscape, which certainly looks a lot different than what we thought going into this season it would be. That's all with Will Coleman when we come back.
Do you guys poop ice cream?
That sounds gross.
All of it is gross.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
At the National Civil Rights Museum, history moves us forward. The question remains, how does history move you?
Keep on talking, marching up to freedom now.
Bain drives.
Oh yeah.
Close. He hits and the Grizzlies have the lead.
Yeah!
Sharon with a knockaway.
Good defense.
Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
That's no show. Let's go.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
They say main event Jey Uso was going to open the show. So they said they're starting to hear rumbles around the plaza level of Jey Uso. They're getting the crowd together to build up the main event Jey Uso entrance. Hey, 15,000 people together, yeeting in unison, 5-star. They are yeeting together.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel. We got Southern Heritage Classic news. Mike, Tennessee State out. Where do you think the Classic goes from here? Is this a thing that sort of dooms this Classic, Southern Heritage Classic?
I don't ever bet against Fred Jones. I don't count Fred Jones out. You have to have the event. You have to continue to have the weekend, and a football game has to be part of it.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Welcome back. Will Coleman will be here in moments. He is stuck on floor 2. Got to send someone to rescue him, get him into the building. It was going to be CJ. I'm glad that you passed that duty off to somebody else because I didn't know what I was going to monologue about here. If I just came back all by myself, all by my lonesome.
Talk more about sprinkles and fairy dust.
Oh, and ice cream.
And ice cream.
What a beautiful time.
Yeah.
What a beautiful world. Whatever. We're going to talk college basketball with Will. You said you watched the Houston game last night?
Yeah.
They're real good.
7 dudes on the court, and it's only 5.
Kelvin?
That is, I don't think there are some, being an athlete at a high level would be overwhelming at times for me, like, and for all of us.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not sure if there's anything more overwhelming in sports right now than having the ball in your hand. Like, freshly, you just caught the ball in the front court for your team, and you look up and you see Houston defenders around. The way that they swarm everywhere, the way that they are able to contest without fouling, the way they're able to get hands on dribbles and deflections on passes, it is alarming. I would be so damn frazzled. I would just catch the ball and step out of bounds immediately. Like, forget it. I don't want this anymore. No. I'll be out here. I'll run around. Don't you dare throw me the damn basketball. I don't want it.
It's so crazy. Gary brought this up a couple weeks ago, just about Houston and leaving the American and the assumption of, oh, you're in the big boy conference now. You're joining one of the perennial best conferences in college basketball, the Big 12. How is that going to impact Houston's success? And I went back and looked. Their first 3 games in Big 12 play, they started 1-2. And that narrative just started spiraling, like, oh, Houston's going to learn. This is going to be Houston's learning experience in the Big 12. Since starting 1-2 in Big 12 play, they've gone 30-2 in regular season games since. Like, that is remarkable. And you have a Houston team that, once again, could contend for a national championship this season. And they've clinched a share of another Big 12 title. Like, it doesn't matter what conference they're in. That's,
so they got a share of it?
They got a share of it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Kelvin Sampson just completely solidified Houston as, do we call them a blue blood now? You have to win multiple?
I don't know if they're blue blood.
Do we call blue? It's weird because they're red.
Yeah, but they can still be blue bloods.
Oh, really? You don't have to have blue in your color?
You know that your blood is actually blue until
Yeah.
the oxygen hits it and oxidizes it, and then it becomes red, Jessica.
Look at your veins,
knows that.
CJ.
Everybody knows that. So
Will
yes.
Coleman's here.
Will
What's
Coleman
up, Will?
Was late.
Why were you late?
Man,
What's up this morning?
It's a car wreck.
Oh, no.
On it's like right when you get to, what parkway is that? It's like an A and a B exit when
Don't
you're
ask
coming
me
from.
those questions.
I don't know, man. It was
Stage?
No,
Not
it was
Stage.
on when you get up, man.
Like Poplar?
But the exit before Lamar.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's like, I don't know, but it was just a nasty
It was
traffic
bad?
jam. It's pretty bad. It was backed up. I was in standstill. I broke the rules, and I followed through, report 4 people on the shoulder for a good bit, and then I got off.
Well, sometimes you just have to keep traffic flowing.
Yeah. So
Was there a reason for the traffic to be stopped? Because that's my other thing. It's a whole lot of rubbernecking going on.
So
just drive. You
the
don't need to see what
ambulance, it was
happened.
something pretty, because the ambulance was coming up the shoulder.
Okay.
And so once the ambulance, when I saw a couple people follow suit behind the ambulance, I was like,
But I
I'm
mean,
late.
just because the ambulance is coming up the shoulder, the accident could have been moved over. So I'm assuming that the accident wasn't moved
Yeah,
over.
it probably wasn't. It was pretty. I didn't get to see it, but it was standstill. It was pretty nice. It was the traffic was standstill. I don't know what the wreck looked like, but the traffic, all the lanes was standstill.
I hate seeing car accidents. Like, it really is a sobering moment of a day. And we've talked so much. My mom had a flight yesterday, and my mom was a flight attendant for 30 years. And she was talking about how she has never been nervous getting on a plane until yesterday because of all the
Yeah, I was about to say,
happenings
I'd love to hear
in
your
the
take on.
world.
Has she said anything about that kind of stuff?
Well, this was her first time flying since both the horrific incident with the helicopter in D.C. and the plane flipping over in Canada.
That's
and then
kinda
even just
crazy.
yesterday, the slides were deployed on a plane in Atlanta because there was smoke in the cabin, and so passengers had to exit that way. But she used to always call me. Even when I was a kid, I remember her saying, you are however many times more likely to die in a car accident than you are in a plane. My parents used to do that when I would swim in the ocean with shark attacks. You are more likely to die in a car accident than you are to die in a plane. But sometimes you really start thinking about it and you're like, damn, your odds of dying in a car accident are really high.
Yeah.
But it is in comparison to the plain piece. Like, I do deal with flight anxiety. I've had a weird growing flight anxiety as I've gotten older, and I've actually like received medication to just have. Like, some people think, like therapists or psychiatrists think the trick of just like having medication in case can help stave off a flight anxiety attack. But now I'm like, I'm gonna take it. Like, now I don't know. When I have my first flight in like a week and a half, I do get a little more nervous than usual, which, again, numbers-wise, statistics-wise, it's no more likely to happen than it was before all of these most recent events occurred. But it does make you think about it more.
Yeah, for sure.
The Memphis Tigers had a big win over the weekend. A good bounce-back win for your Memphis Tigers.
They did.
Who beat FAU, who didn't just beat FAU, who blew out FAU in their home building, bouncing back off the loss to Wichita State. What impressed you most in the bounce-back effort?
You know, again, I like to harp on it. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, we beat FAU or we blow them out, and it's like, you're supposed to do that. You're ranked in the country. You know, you got a great squad. You're supposed to do that at FAU. But at the same time, it's like we needed that because of what happened in Wichita. But I think what impressed me the most is, like, even just looking over his whole collegiate career, Dane's just playing the best basketball of his life right now. And I think seeing him continue to grow, seeing him continue to push, and continue to see him grow more confident in his game as we roll and peak into March. The biggest thing is finish out 3-0, well 4-0, if we count FAU, finish out 4-0. We get past that first tournament game, it's anybody's ball game. We'll probably end up as a 5th and 6th seed. We still kind of in the driver's seat. Obviously, we want to take care of conference. But we got a lot of basketball to play before we get to the tournament. But I think if Dane Danger can continue to lead this team the way he is, I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah, it feels like attitude-wise as well. They're led by him, led by Haggerty, led by Hunter. There has been, what I've noticed is a maturity from the players of wanting to challenge this team, to look back at when they were playing with the edge in non-conference play and figuring out how to apply this so that you don't end up losing another very bad, horrible, terrible AAC game. You have Rice, UAB, UTSA, and South Florida left to close out the regular season. But just how big is that? Penny kind of spoke on it from a standpoint of, like, the best teams are not coach-led. They're player-led.
Yeah.
Obviously, coaching still plays a tremendous part within it, but being able to rest on your players to have some of those conversations amongst themselves. Were you a part of teams like that?
Yeah. I remember one particular instance when we got to practice and we were kind of goofing off or whatever, and we all go, you know, Pastner sends us home. And, you know, Wesley Witherspoon calls us. We all in the locker room, and Wesley just, you know, he gets everybody in the huddle and is like, hey, man, look, we need to get this done. Like, I'm not trying to come back. You know, Pastner's trying to send us home, make us come back later that night or whatever the case may be. But, you know, Wesley got everybody together in the huddle in the locker room, just kind of like, hey, man, y'all, we need to get this together. We need to knock this practice out. We need to be pros, and we need to make this happen. And so being on a team like that, I think that's the piece that a lot of coaches probably would love to have, knowing that they can trust their team. And there are times where, you know, the coach may not be able to get a hold of everybody at once, but there may be a player that can rally everybody, or there may be players that are more prone to listen to the leaders versus, you know, everybody go through that phase where it's like, man, I'm really not trying to hear coach right now. It's normal. Everybody goes through it. Kids, with your parents, with your coaches, everywhere. But I think having those leaders on your team that can lead a team and rile them up and get their attention, I think it provides a certain level of trust between your players and your coaches.
Also happening at the Tigers game over the weekend was the M Club Hall of Fame induction and getting to see Chris Douglas Roberts.
Yeah.
He was before your first year at Memphis, but was he ever back around during your time at the university?
He came back a little bit, but around that time when I first got there, he was still knee deep in, you know, in the NBA and you know, trying to make it, you know, get there. And he bounced around for a little bit and did some damage. But he was still very heavy in his basketball career. So he came back. It was far and few in between, but he did come back.
How was it? I don't think we've talked a lot about that transition coming out of the 2008 season and then obviously post Coach Cal into the Pastner era, managing the city's vibe with the team. What was that like?
Man, I think it was an easy transition because so many people still had so much hate, I guess you could say it, for Cal, the way he left.
That hate almost like transferred into extra love, wanting the next, wanting to be able to succeed without him, essentially.
Yeah. And everybody poured into Pastner, and everybody supported him. Everybody has their opinions on him. I personally loved him. Not everybody feels the same way I do about Pastner, but I loved him, and I think a lot of people tried to pour into Pastner and pour into the city once Cal left the way he did.
Do you think Pastner will ever coach again?
I don't know. I like Pastner. I like the analytical Pastner.
I like him on the broadcast.
Yeah, I love him on TV, man.
Not because I don't think he can do a good job. I'm sure they're the right fit. He could do a
He
fine
won Coach
job.
of the Year as soon as he left. When he went to Georgia Tech.
And then it fell apart. But
it did, but I'm saying that first.
Yes.
He wore a face shield, and then it all fell apart.
Okay. But I love what he's doing.
Great on the
he's great on TV.
He's so good on TV.
I was watching some halftime show he popped up, and I really enjoyed listening to him talk.
He talk hoops all day. All day. You try and have a normal conversation with him? It's a little awkward. That's my guy, though. Yeah, that's I love him to death.
He just wants to talk basketball.
Man, just hoops. That man will talk hoops until he blue in the face. But if you roll up on, hey, man, how was your day today? What you doing tonight?
I don't know.
Hey, just it always ends up segueing back into basketball or like a self-help discipline chat, which I've always appreciated. Yeah, I've always appreciated it.
What's the best self-help advice that he gave you along the way?
Man, I don't know. I think the number one thing, as you get older, you kind of understand it. But when I was younger, and he used to tell me all the time, I was like, man, this old man don't know what he's talking about. Or he used to always tell us at practice that nothing good ever happens after midnight.
That's a standard dad.
And I used to.
My dad's been telling me that since I was like 14.
Within reason.
Nothing good ever happens after midnight.
Clearly, these people have never had a booty call, right? Like, obviously, you never been hit with the "Hey, are you up?" text.
Yeah, hey, you up? That'd be the worst. You get a "Hey, you up?" text and you be sleeping, you miss it.
And miss it.
You wake up and be like,
Never again.
It's just devastating.
My wife sent me an "Are you up?" text when we started like talking, and I missed it. And ever since then, I made sure that her notifications are on. Volume all the way up. She's the only one. Nobody else in my life has notifications on to this day. I'll never miss another one of those.
I do think it's a universal experience to have like one "you up" text that you missed.
Yeah, man. Everybody
your
has
brain
missed
goes
one.
back to it.
It's one.
It doesn't happen again.
I don't think it happens again.
It doesn't happen again.
Man, that's the worst. But yeah.
Cry in the morning when I wake up. Ruin my day. Have me miss one of those.
It'd be something. Man, see, it's a whole nother conversation. But you got iPhones now. Do not disturb. So do not disturb. My phone.
I can't even figure out my damn do not disturb.
My phone will ring. It's like 5 people. My phone will ring for when I have do not disturb.
But then I'll forget to change it. Like occasionally, the other day we had a plumber coming, and I needed all calls to be on do not disturb because I needed to wake up if the plumber called to let me into the building, and then I accidentally left that on. But then sometimes I'll have it just for like Chris, my dad, and my mom. Sometimes I'll have it for a specific friend, and then I'll forget to do it. And I take naps in the app. That's how I survive, is my naps. And so I'm constantly just messing.
You got to set
it.
You can set it up for hours.
I know. There's too many options. There's too many things you can do within it. I did want to get your take on just the college basketball space as we enter or are about to enter March. When you look at the fact that half of the top 10 teams who were ranked in the AP preseason poll, and AP preseason polls, take them or leave them, but they usually do at least set some sort of expectation, and to have 5 of the 10 now completely unranked. We have only seen it 4 times in the last 55 years where half of the top 10 preseason teams are completely out of the rankings by this point in the season. Number 1, Kansas. Number 3, UConn. Number 6, Gonzaga. Number 8, Baylor. And number 9, North Carolina. Do you think this is going to be a more trendy thing moving forward? Just because with the transfer portal, it makes it so hard. With such a lack of retention or a carryover from seasons before, it just makes it more difficult to evaluate teams before a season begins in a way that previously, when you had some connectivity to years past, you at least had a better idea.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I was really thinking about this the other day, and I was on the, and now don't get me wrong, I still dislike the NIL to some capacity. because you're paying people. But I still think within all this madness within college basketball, period, I think you're still going to have to figure out or see how good your coaching staff is, because you're truly going to have to hunt for guys who really still want to play basketball. Because you can give somebody all the money in the world, but they can still be a cruddy teammate. But in the day and age where we are now, where the transfer portal and money and stuff like that, being able to find a group of guys who are willing to put themselves on the back burner for the betterment of the team to really come in and come together and play hard and really try to get a win, I think that's going to be the toughest part. And I think that's the glory in it, because you can find 5 of the most talented people in the world, but if they don't get along and everybody want to put up 30 shots, the team's going to implode. But if you got a group of guys where you can find your solid role players and your 2 or 3 people who get the majority of the shots and everybody understand their roles, now you're rolling. Now you're cooking. So I think that's where we are now, and I think it's anybody's game going into March, and I think anybody can get beat. Anybody could lose. I mean, it's madness, man. That's why it's true March Madness. I know we've dubbed it March Madness in the past because, people get upset at things like this. But right now, you have no idea who's going to come out of there with a W and survive and play the next weekend.
Your favorite team right now is who?
Man, as much as I hate to say it, I was talking to my buddy about it the other day. I like Houston. Man, I know a lot of people probably gonna kill me. Tennessee looked good the other night. I like Ziegler. Man, who else?
Auburn and Duke continue to be at the top.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those things again where they might get upset. They've been running the table all season, and I just think they might drop the ball somewhere with Duke and because, like I said, anybody can get smacked. You're gonna get one of those 9 seeds get in there and just ain't got nothing to lose, and the rim gonna look this big. They're gonna be throwing it up from the parking lot, and next thing you know, it's gonna be second half, a minute and a half left, Auburn down 3 to a team, and then boom. So those are my. I like Houston. I like Tennessee. I think as far as just being able to, I watched the Iowa and Iowa State and yeah. I watched that. I like Iowa State too, man. They look good. I mean, it's really all over the place. So I think as of right now, I'm really impressed with, like y'all was talking about earlier, I'm really impressed with Houston.
Yeah.
So I'll be keeping a close eye on them as they continue to walk through the tournament.
All right, well, we'll catch up with you in March.
Yes, ma'am.
Next week. We'll see you then. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, do a little TV Tuesday. I watched the Gabby Petito documentary on Netflix. It was insane. We'll do some what we're watching, some news on a big name in news stepping down from their position. We'll also talk a little Nepo baby status when we come back.
Can't wait. It's time to get it popping.
It's gonna be crazy. The fans are gonna be loud. We need just energy.
Behind the back to Jared for the flash.
We're gonna need, the form rocking. We're gonna need, everybody in Memphis to be out there to come to support.
When the fans are good, we're good. Simple as that.
A Bane 3, yes sir! Desmond Bane with ice water in his veins.
We'll ride the energy together.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
What teams do you think, other than Chiefs and Eagles, are going to be teams to reckon with next season?
I think the Ravens, the 49ers, the Bills, the Lions.
I think the Falcons are going to be good next year.
Well, y'all have had like 4 straight losing record seasons. So.
Yeah, the question is, can you just get 2 guys on defense? They scored 38 against the friggin' Panthers and lost the last week of the season. You got to get some stops.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. TV Tuesday before we get out of here and into CJ's meeting. Tuesdays, we got to be tight on the schedule.
Give me that meeting, otherwise I have the Friday meeting, and that's never a good meeting to have.
You have a Friday meeting?
I said if I have a Friday, I do have a Friday thing. It's not a meeting, though, but the Friday meeting is of death.
Yeah, it is.
Schedule a meeting on a Friday with me, I'm not going to show up.
A 4 o'clock meeting on a Friday is the worst thing you can do.
I'm not showing up.
The worst thing. The worst thing that you can do.
Trick me and catch me on a Thursday.
All right, so I'm a little behind, but all my group chats have been talking about this documentary on Netflix all week. I watched the Court of Gold documentary first because I wanted to be caught up on all things basketball, and that's what the sports world was talking about. But all of the girls are talking about American Murder, Gabby Petito, which is a 3-part docuseries that dropped on Netflix last week. Story of the young woman who was murdered by her fiance in Teton National Forest. One of those cases that took over the nation. Her picture was everywhere. Yes, CJ?
This is recent.
So recent.
Too recent, again, to warrant. Although I'm not as plugged into this as I was the Olympics, right? So maybe I could get into it if you sell it well enough.
I will sell it.
Okay.
It happened in 2021, which is a little further than the Olympics.
But,
Court of Gold was last summer. 2021 has at least been.
We've had sports documentaries that have popped off like 2 years after the fact. The Connor Stallions documentary.
Yes.
Right, too soon.
Too soon.
I feel like that's a blanket statement for all of these things. But all I know about this person, she was on a trip with her boyfriend who murdered her. And that's all I got.
I have to agree with you. I did not follow this case. This case was everywhere, and I did not follow it.
Yeah.
I am not a true crime junkie. Every now and then, I will get attached or interested enough in something. I think about that woman in Boston was accused of killing her boyfriend. I can't wait for that documentary.
To that case?
She was.
Did she get acquitted?
Okay. Yes, but I think there's more to come. Again, don't follow enough where we can just sit here and riff off of it. This isn't a space that I particularly like to sit in because it's really gross. These are real people who die. But when Gabby Petito went missing, she was a content creator in training, or she wanted to be a content creator. She bought a van with her fiance. They were going to drive across the country. They were going to make content in their van. That is a specific niche of the content world, like on TikTok, on Instagram, people who buy vans and drive around and go through national parks and see the world that way. And she wanted to be a part of that. She goes missing. The van goes missing. That's all I knew. I knew that she died. I didn't even know what ended up happening to the boyfriend. I just remember fairly early, the assumed end of this story was this guy did it. Like, I don't think there was ever a real question.
She dies on a Tuesday, and by Thursday, we're all like, the boyfriend did it. We
she
solved
went
it.
missing, and by the time the parents declared her missing or started the declaration of her being missing, one of the first things that happens is his parents won't answer any questions from police. Okay, he did it. Oh, he's home? Oh, he's home with the van? He's home with the van that was last seen with her in, I'm sorry, Wyoming? You're now back in Florida? Okay, things connect. Clearly, the murderer is the villain of the docuseries, is the worst person of the docuseries. Those parents give him a run for his money.
I mean,
those parents.
It's your child, though.
I don't care.
Okay.
I do not care.
All right. I would expect my parents.
Can I spoil it for you?
Sure.
Okay. Because I think one of the craziest was Brian, the fiance, the murderer, eventually goes missing because he went to kill himself. Oh. I didn't know that he ended his life, but that is how his story ends. Yeah. I told you I was going to spoil it for you. The mom wrote a letter to him before he went missing, saying she would show up with a shovel and garbage bags if he needed to bury a body, or she would bake him a cake with a file in it if he was in jail. Those parents, when Gabby's parents first were worried because they hadn't heard from her and she had been good about checking in along the way, obviously you lose service when you're out hiking and in nature, but she had been good on regularly checking in with her parents. And it had been 11 days since they'd last heard from her, and they grew concerned. Both her mom and her dad, they're divorced, so separate. Mom is remarried, dad is remarried, so 4 people who care about Gabby who are trying to figure out where she is were contacting Brian's parents. They never answered. They never said a word.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do as a parent. Right? I would expect if something
If my
happened,
child murdered someone, I would hope to God that I would have the wherewithal and the moral compass to say, you did something so wrong. I love you, but
I'd expect,
I am not protecting you in this scenario.
I'd expect supreme loyalty from mine. Yeah, you can't be out here snitching. And I know for a fact one of mine is on that time, is on that. Let me know where I need to be with the shovel and the body bag. We can do this together type stuff.
It's so sinister to watch back. And that's everything's sinister when you're watching a murder documentary because you know the end and you know more of the pieces on it. One of the other big scenes or moments that gets revisited frequently was prior to her being murdered, there was an incident in Utah. So she ends up being murdered in Wyoming. They were in Utah on their way up to Wyoming. And a bystander saw Gabby and Brian fighting on the side of the road and watched Brian slap her. And they called into police to report a domestic violence case. And police end up finding the van, stopping the van, questioning them about this incident that was reported. And it gets turned into Gabby being labeled as the aggressor because she scratched Brian. And Brian basically painting her as hysterical. And she also is crying. She's anxious. She says she deals with anxiety. She's trying to take all the blame, which is a classic victim of domestic violence trying to stay with that person. It's a real complicated thing. These police officers have been crucified for how they handled this moment. And again, hindsight's 2020. He goes on to kill her. It's horrific because it could have been stopped, but it's also one of those where you're watching it and not quite sure what they could do. Although I would hope when you see a 100-pound girl putting her as the aggressor in that situation, I don't know. It's a complicated thing to watch in real time. I will say one of the touching things that her parents have done after her death is they did get a new law passed in Florida where it's called the 12 Questions Bill, and now it has changed how law enforcement agents handle domestic violence cases. They have to ask these 12 questions, which were brought up in effect of, if Gabby had been asked these 12 questions, perhaps it would have been a red flag where the officers don't view her as a mental issue and understand that she's under physical duress or under great danger. I I would show this documentary to my future child and be like, this is what you look for if someone is trying to isolate you. This is what you look for in being gaslit and being manipulated, emotional manipulation. Some of the text messages that get brought up from early in their relationship, you find out that she was questioning leaving him. She had reached out to an ex-boyfriend trying to plant the idea of, well, maybe I'll leave him. Maybe I'll become a solo content creator. She talked with her mom about that often. And I just think it's a really good example of how easy it can happen, like how you can get swept up in one of these relationships and next thing you're dead. And it's horrible. Like for what? She's dead. He killed himself. That's 2 people who died. It was awful.
It's hard being a woman out here. And this is why, like I have single friends who are women, and dating is harder for them because it is, hey, in addition to all the other things I need to check, I need to make sure you're not like a killer.
Yeah.
Because so many times the murder happens and the person who did it is a loved one of the woman in question. How did he murder her?
He strangled her.
He strangled her? He
It's like the most personal, horrible. And he tried to write a letter after he killed himself, claiming that she fell, she was cold, she was not okay, and that it was the humane thing for him to strangle her. When the police have come back and been like, the only reason that she died is she was strangled.
Wait,
like this is just a fake story. He tried to concoct some big tale.
He tried to cricket this thing?
Yeah.
She fell.
Yeah.
And
she fell in a ravine. He found her.
I couldn't get her to the hospital. I couldn't call for assistance.
And then he couldn't imagine a world without her, so he killed himself.
Okay.
He tried to Romeo and Juliet it.
Okay.
Which is so gross. He murdered her.
Yeah. Awful.
There was
good riddance.
It was lightly brought up. I thought they could have gone into it a little more, but I was happy that they at least brought it up. But Gabby Petito ended up being kind of the current face of missing white woman phenomena, and this idea of she goes missing, everybody's talking about her. It's all over TikTok, it's all over Instagram, it's all over the news. But how many women go missing in this country every single day who are never talked about, who are never found? And Gabby's dad spoke on it and said, at first, it was frustrating that this was getting brought up. I was like, this is my daughter, she's gone. And then he said he looked into it and he realized, like, oh, this is a horrific, large trend in this country that really is a difference. And not every missing white woman gets talked about either. It's the specific young blonde. She was beautiful. She had this vibrancy. She's on camera. There's a ton of videos and photos of her because she's trying to, embark on this social media filled life. But it is a reminder that there are so many missing women and so many missing women of domestic violence cases, and not great. Not great. So now I know that case.
Bet you slept real good after learning all the details of that.
I actually slept horribly last night.
I wonder why.
Because I watched that and then I watched an episode of Slow Horses where like decapitating was a theme.
Oh, turn up.
And I dreamt that people were decapitated.
Oh, good.
It was horrible. They were in a fire and decapitated.
What happened in the pit?
We talked about the pit. Remember? I came out because there was the Grizzlies game. The Grizzlies lost to the Pacers, and then I watched the pit and I cried.
Thought the pit
it was like
a
the
Sunday
saddest
show.
No, the pit is a Thursday show.
Okay, so I got my days.
My life
mixed up.
is the pit on Thursdays,
Okay.
Severance on Fridays,
Okay.
White Lotus on Sundays,
All right.
and then I'm watching Slow Horses and Traders on Friday as well. That's my TV setup at the moment.
Okay.
What's yours?
I don't want to say too loud because they might mess around
might
and cancel
cancel it.
one of my shows. Good grief. I started Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
How is it?
Really, really good.
Oh, good.
Really, really good. I'm 3 episodes in, and it's all of these different Spider-Mans have a different take on the Peter Parker character. And this one is good to see him because you think of Spider-Man as a nerd, like a super smart guy who ends up being bullied and ends up stumbling across superpowers, and then the story takes off. Well, this Spider-Man's not being bullied. He's being embraced by the people at his high school. They're like, no, Peter's with us. Come hang out. Osborn, he is serving as, in this particular Spider-Man, he is serving in the same role that Iron Man served in, that Tony Stark served in. And if you know anything about Mr. Osborn, you know that, hey, he's going to be the Green Goblin. So how's this all finna work out? It is great. I really enjoyed it. They get straight to it. I don't need the Uncle Ben death story. I completely understand. Uncle Ben died, And that is driving Peter Parker's
Screw Uncle Ben.
Yeah, F him. Like I don't need to see him die in every single Spider-Man adaptation, right? I understand that Uncle Ben is the driver behind Parker's morality. I know that. I understand that. We all know that and understand that. Don't really care how he died. They get into it. They get to the good stuff. It's good. It's funny. It's charming. There's some action as well. All in all, I really enjoy the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm watching some other stuff I sent Jacob. I don't remember. Watch the most recent episode of Harley Quinn. Jacob, just throw something up. I'll talk about it. Oh, Starfire. Not watching this, but we're getting an origin story of Starfire from Teen Titans, an origin story cartoon of Starfire from Teen Titans in the DC universe, which I'm really, really excited about. And I think it could open the door for all of the origin stories, animated, of course. So we can get Raven's origin story, because that's the one I want. I want to know where the hell this thing came from. So we get Raven, we can get Beast Boy. We kind of know Cyborgs, but sure, throw in Cyborg and Robin if you feel like it, and then give us a big Teen Titans, a new cartoon that's not this goofiness that is going on. I watched the most recent episode of Harley Quinn. Oh, I love Brainiac so much, and I love him, Jessica, because I can hate him. The Harley Quinn is a show about villains doing goofy things like they're the heroes in this story. It's absurd. It's great, but it's absurd. Brainiac is a legit bad guy. He's a legit villain. Whereas, like, Harley is trying to do good, but she's going about it in very bad ways. You got Poison Ivy out there trying to save the world, stop global warming, stop climate change, and she's going about it by, like, ripping people apart with her plant friends, right? So that's bad, but they're trying to do good, so you kind of let them off the hook. Brainiac is just bad. Brainiac is, I've known loss, you guys haven't. You're going to experience loss. Like, that is what Brainiac is on. It is mean. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Continue to make my way through Abbott Elementary. Can't wait for them to cancel that show.
They're not going to cancel that
You say
show.
that. We just went.
Are you kidding me? I just saw Cheryl Lee Ralph was at the SAG Awards. I totally missed the SAG Awards on Sunday between the Grizzlies game and White Lotus, and I just really didn't care. But my two favorite things from the SAG Awards was the Jane Fonda Lifetime Achievement speech, which she's 89 or 87, 89, whatever it is. She's up there and she looks fantastic, and I always enjoy listening to Jane Fonda speak. But then there was this moment where Cheryl Lee Ralph was announced for something, and there's just like a cheer section from the crowd. Nobody else was cheered for her, but when Cheryl Lee Ralph's name comes up, everyone cheers for her. She also was on the red carpet, asked if she could be in any other show, what would it be? And she said she would play a black samurai in Shogun, and then just randomly started speaking Japanese. She is the coolest person in Hollywood right now.
So what I'm hearing you say is they cancel it and put everybody on Shogun. Because that's what happens to
Or
all the
give
shows
Cheryl
I
Lee
love.
Ralph her own show. I don't care.
That's what happens to all the shows I love.
I just want to watch Cheryl Lee Ralph. Abbott Elementary is never going to get canceled. They're going to run Abbott Elementary.
They canceled Black Lady Sketch Show, which gave us Quinta Brunson. It had won 3 Emmys. It won 3 Emmys, and they canceled it, Jessica.
What was Black Lady Sketch Show on?
HBO.
I know. Abbott Elementary is one of the few network darlings that we have left.
Grand Crew was a network darling.
It was not a network darling.
What do you mean it wasn't a network darling? It was my network darling.
Well,
it was
your
niche.
darling is not the world's darling.
You heard it here, folks. During Black History Month, the show with black people as stars is niche.
Hey, also during Black History Month, Lester Holt is stepping down from NBC Nightly News. Found out yesterday. Lester Holt, he has been there since 2015. I mean, he's been there since 2000, I think. But he's been the nightly news anchor since 2015. He took over after the whole Brian Williams scandal, where it felt like Brian Williams was going to be the host of nightly news for the next 30 years. And then, did he embellish a story from a helicopter in Iraq? It had something to do with that.
Was that it? Did Brian Williams not also get Me Too'd?
No, Brian Williams was just he might have told some little fibs.
Oh, yeah.
He might have stretched some truth.
He was like, I was in battle.
Capital J journalist, but then we really lowercased it. And now he's on, I think he's on MSNBC.
Okay.
They made a bunch of changes yesterday, too.
Yeah, speaking of Black History Month.
Yeah. I wonder who will be the next host of Nightly News. I don't feel like there's an obvious answer.
No. Look forward to
NBC just lost 2 titans in Black history. Hoda Kotb stepped down from the Today Show.
But Lester's not gone. Lester's going to Dateline. He's leaving Nightly News.
Yeah, but that's the sending
focus more on-
the I think it's his choice. I would assume that's his choice. I don't want to speak for him.
When he sent the email, he said that's what
But
he
that's
wanted.
what they do.
I didn't
That's
know
like
that.
the retirement plan.
I didn't
feel
know
like
that was the
when
retirement
you're a
plan.
big journalist, the best thing you can do is keep collecting a check and either do Dateline or it used to be, I don't know who does 2020 now, but like when Barbara Walters went into 2020,
I
she
thought
did
that
that
was
forever.
I thought that was like a legit thing. I thought that
It's still legit. That's the point.
Okay.
Like you get to ride the legitimacy of a good news program, but you don't have to do all the
daily
same amount
stuff.
of daily
Yeah,
work that
okay,
it
I
took,
follow.
and the extras, the elections, the special events, special coverage. You get to kind of just have a normal structured news job.
I forgot about the special events.
Yeah.
Like
The
not the
Olympics.
special events, but the like breaking stuff. Because
Weather.
Leicester was
Leicester's out there in a hurricane.
in the hurricane. Leicester, the war pops off in Ukraine, and Leicester flew his happy-go-lucky ass over there and was there for like 2 weeks. That's how I knew the sun never rose in Ukraine.
I saw a
it was
clip.
always gray.
I saw a clip of early in the Ukraine, like I think it was the first time they did the sirens in Ukraine, and it was either CNN or MSNBC, but they were showing it, and then it immediately goes to an Applebee's commercial,
Yep.
and it's some song.
Chicken fried.
Yep. Chicken fried.
Yep.
Oh God.
Come on, Jessica. I got
What a dumb timeline
I'm
we're
3
on. Go to
minutes
your
late for
meeting.
my
We'll see you
meeting.
tomorrow. Grizzlies Suns tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. We'll see you then. Bye.